The night everything changed. The lake was so quiet you could hear the flames whisper. My friends and I had gathered around our usual Saturday bonfire, laughing, roasting marshmallows, watching sparks drift toward a sky full of stars, when Karen appeared on the hill like a storm brewing. Her arms were crossed tight, jaw clenched, as if she'd rehearsed her outrage. "This is a violation!" she shouted, marching straight toward us. We froze. Karen, the self-appointed guardian of Lakeside Peace, and recent HOA board member, had found her latest target, my bonfires. For years, I'd hosted small gatherings on my own property. Nobody complained. In fact, neighbors often stopped by, enjoying warmth, stories, and community. But Karen didn't believe in community. She believed in control. She whipped out her phone, recording us like we were criminals. "I'm reporting this," she snapped. "Wildfire risk. Smoke pollution. Noise. Illegal. Gatherings." Every word dripped with satisfaction, as if she'd been waiting for this moment. I calmly reminded her the county allowed recreational fires, and my fire pit was professionally installed. Still, she didn't care. She marched back home, heels stabbing the earth, vowing to shut this lawlessness down. My friends exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to leave or laugh, but her next move wasn't funny. The following morning, I woke to a notice taped to my door. All open fires prohibited. No explanation. No vote, just Karen's signature and a shiny HOA letterhead. She'd unilaterally banned bonfires for the entire Lakeside community. Even worse, she claimed violators would face fines starting at $500. Shock quickly turned to fury. Neighbors who'd always enjoyed our gatherings were suddenly afraid to speak up. Karen patrolled the shoreline like a lighthouse with legs, watching for smoke, waiting to strike. I wasn't just losing my bonfires. I was losing a place where memories were built. That's when I realized this wasn't about fire safety. It was about power. Karen wanted to reshape the lake into her ideal, rule-bound kingdom. And I wasn't going to let her. So instead of fighting fire with fire, I took a breath and looked around the lake, remembering why those bonfires mattered. They weren't parties. They were tradition, connection, belonging. Generations had gathered here long before. Karen arrived with her clipboard and crusade. And deep down, I knew the law was on my side. So I grabbed my laptop, started researching county regulations, and discovered something surprising. Our fires were completely legal. Karen's ban wasn't enforcement. It was intimidation. She had absolutely no real authority. When morning arrived, I made a decision. If Karen wanted to weaponize fire safety, I'd bring in the only person who actually understood it, the county fire marshal. Not to escalate, but to clarify. So I left a polite voicemail explaining the situation, attached photos of my fire pit, and requested an official inspection. Simple, respectful, rational. 2 days later, a red county truck rolled down the gravel road, tires crunching like a drum roll. Fire Marshal Alvarez stepped out. Calm, professional, clipboard in hand. Meanwhile, neighbors peeked from porches, curiosity glowing brighter than flames. Word travels fast around a lake, but nobody reacted faster than Karen. The moment she spotted Alvarez, she power-walked across her lawn like a mall security guard chasing teenagers. "Thank goodness you're here," she exclaimed dramatically. "I've been trying to prevent a wildfire disaster, but nobody listens. This entire shoreline is unsafe. Shut it down immediately." Alvarez blinked, politely confused. "Ma'am, I haven't even inspected anything yet." She didn't care. She launched into a monologue about smoke ruining property values, bonfires attracting undesirable crowds, and how she was single-handedly protecting the community. It was like watching someone audition for a role nobody offered. Alvarez finally turned to me. "Can you show me the fire pit?" "Yes, sir," I said, leading him to the stone ring built 10 feet from the water, surrounded by gravel, equipped with a metal screen cover, clearly within county standards. He measured, photographed, checked fuel storage, verified extinguishing equipment, and reviewed permits. He didn't rush. He respected the process. Karen hovered behind us like a storm cloud, muttering, huffing, occasionally gasping as though discovering new dangers. When Alvarez stepped back, tapping his pen, she braced herself for victory. Instead, he smiled. "This setup is textbook safe. Well-maintained, compliant, responsibly used. Frankly, I wish all recreational fire pits looked like this." Karen's face twisted like she'd just swallowed ashes. But the HOA banned fires." "Yes," she insisted, voice cracking. "And as a board member, I have authority to enforce it." Alvarez raised an eyebrow. "Only if the board approved it." "Did they?" Silence. Neighbors stepped closer, sensing the shift. I suddenly felt the breeze change, light, freeing oxygen for the community flame. Alvarez closed his clipboard. "Legally, this fire pit stays, and I see no safety justification for banning others. I'll file a report confirming that." That afternoon, people approached me openly instead of whispering, relieved to finally breathe again. Some offered to bring snacks for the next bonfire. Others laughed, saying Karen would need a new crusade. But deep down, I sensed she wasn't finished. Karen didn't lose quietly. She regrouped, plotted, waited for another spark. And she always did, eventually. Karen may have retreated, but she didn't surrender. 3 nights after the fire marshal's visit, I hosted a quiet, celebratory bonfire, just 5 of us. Low flames, soft music, nothing unusual. Suddenly, sirens echoed across the lake. 2 fire trucks rolled in, lights flashing like a 4th of July finale. Neighbors rushed outside, stunned. The firefighters jumped out, scanning for danger. "Where's the emergency?" the captain asked. Before I could answer, Karen appeared, waving her arms. "There! The illegal bonfire! It's bigger than ever!" she cried, pointing dramatically at the small, contained flame. She spoke with panicked urgency, like she'd saved the town from certain doom. The captain blinked, unimpressed. "Ma'am, this fire is safe." Karen stomped her foot. "You don't understand! This is reckless. People could die." One firefighter leaned toward her. "Ma'am, please don't misuse emergency services. That's a serious issue." Her face drained. For the first time, consequences felt close enough to touch. After the trucks left, embarrassment washed across the shoreline. Karen retreated inside without a word, but instead of learning, she escalated. The next morning, she called for an emergency HOA meeting, mandatory attendance, no agenda listed. Everyone knew what it was about. The room buzzed with anticipation as neighbors filled folding chairs. Karen stood at the front, clutching a stack of printed photos. Nighttime shots of my bonfire, zoomed in to make sparks look like explosions. "This behavior threatens our safety and property values," she declared. "We must permanently ban all open flames along the lake." Murmurs rippled, but not supportive ones. I stood, heart steady. The county confirmed my fire pit is legal and safe. And per HOA bylaws, major rule changes require a community vote, not personal preference. Karen scoffed. "You're manipulating the rules." "No," a neighbor replied. "You are." Heads nodded. People spoke, kindly, firmly, sharing memories of lakeside gatherings, family traditions, moments made around that fire. The more they talked, the smaller Karen seemed. She wasn't protecting anyone. She was isolating everyone. Finally, HOA President Miller cleared his throat. "We cannot enforce an unauthorized ban. Until further notice, recreational fires following county guidelines are permitted." Karen's voice shook. This isn't over. But something had shifted. The community chose connection over control. Karen left the meeting without looking at anyone, doors closing behind her like a final echo. That night I sat by the dark water, wondering why one person could fight so hard against something harmless. But then I realized it was never about fire. It was about control, attention, dominance. And if Karen wanted a dramatic ending, she'd get one. I just hoped she was ready. The lake had survived worse, and so had we together. Stay hopeful. I didn't have to wait long. A week later, while I was trimming branches near the dock, a familiar county truck rolled toward my driveway. Fire Marshal Alvarez again. He stepped out, offering a friendly wave. "Thought you should know," he said. "Karen filed a formal complaint with the county this time. She claimed your bonfires violate environmental law." I sighed, but Alvarez smiled. "Don't worry. We reviewed everything. She doesn't have a case." Still, procedure required one final inspection, so we walked around the property. Neighbors appeared, pretending to water plants or check mail, clearly invested. Karen watched from her porch, sunglasses hiding everything except resentment. After completing his evaluation, Alvarez gathered everyone nearby. "For the record," he announced, "these bonfires meet all safety, environmental, and county standards. There is no violation. In fact, this property is an example of responsible fire management." Applause broke out, small at first, then louder. But he wasn't finished. "Additionally," Alvarez continued, "filing knowingly false complaints wastes emergency resources. The county will be issuing a warning to deter future misuse." Karen's face shifted from irritation to panic. She stormed forward. "You can't punish me. I'm protecting the community." Alvarez remained calm. "Ma'am, safety isn't about control. It's about facts." The neighbors murmured, but not sympathetically. People weren't afraid anymore. They were exhausted, tired of tension, tired of policing, tired of losing joy to someone who didn't understand it. HOA President Miller finally stepped in. "Karen, the board will be reviewing your conduct. Until then, you're suspended from enforcing or issuing directives on behalf of the HOA." The lake fell silent. Even the wind paused. Karen looked around, searching for supporters. None appeared. She turned and walked home, shoulders heavy, not with authority but consequence. That evening, as the sun melted into orange water, families gathered near my fire pit. Not a party, just community. Kids toasted marshmallows. Teenagers told stories. Adults shared quiet laughs. No drama, no fear, no sirens, just warmth. I lit the fire slowly, respectfully, feeling gratitude rise with the embers. The lake glowed again, restored. A few days later, a letter arrived. The HOA officially rescinded the fire ban and reaffirmed homeowners' rights to safe recreational fires. At the bottom, Karen's name was notably absent. She'd resigned from the board. I didn't celebrate her downfall. Instead, I celebrated what survived: tradition, connection, and neighbors choosing each other over conflict. Sometimes the smallest flames teach the biggest lessons. Community burns brighter than control. And in the end, the lake didn't need saving. It just needed reminding. Now, whenever sparks rise into the night sky, I remember peaceful resistance can defeat the loudest authority. The fire still whispers. But now it tells a better story, one where the community stood together and finally won. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button, give a like, and drop a comment below telling us what you would have done. Don't miss our next HOA showdown. Turn on the notifications.